One, two, three. Tradition, respect, formality, pomp, circumstance, elegance, tradition, formality. There will come a day before you realize it, before you know it, all of these terms will mean absolutely nothing. And they may in fact mean nothing now. When you do something and you assign to it a particular role, behavior, you ensure the perpetuation of the act, of the symbolism. You respect, or you show respect, but you ensure the solemnity. I'm using words right now that you will never, ever, ever hear, for the most part, on anything even remotely passing as current or contemporary opinion platforms. I do not believe in formality just for the sake of formality. I don't believe you should do something just because, well, that's the way we always did it, and that's the way. No. Certain things you change. I just provided one of the best reviews of the State of the Union address. I only say to you, and I mean this, and I don't mean this in any way disrespectfully, but I believe that for 99% of the folks who are engaged in this at this particular level, in this, that you will not. It will mean nothing to you. It will just mean absolutely nothing to you. I'm sorry to say that. I'm not saying that. And here's the link, by the way, should you, for whatever reason, want to do this. Because I am from a different planet. I am from a different world. I'm from a different place. I'm from a different I'm from a different world. And I do things not just to do things because we've always done it that way. In fact, I've always said, no, we have to break from this. We have to break from this. I cannot tell you how important, if anybody looked at the beauty, the history. I love the history of something. The history tells you, what does this mean? You don't understand what current is unless you understand the history. I was explaining to a young person the other day the notion of the carburetor in a classic car. Remember in the morning when Robert Klein has this routine where when you start the car, and somebody say, watch out, you'll flood it. That was a big deal. You'll flood it. I said something and I said, you don't understand fuel injection if you don't understand the carburetor, how this thing works, and how many watching now have not lifted the hood of their car ever? Because you're told. There's nothing to check. You're told. Most people don't check anything. They've never lifted the hood, the bonnet of their car. Never. It's never happened. And the reason why, yes, indeed, Liz, you must like this. Thank you so much. Please, I ask you to like this, to subscribe to it. But I understand, because I am not a dinosaur. I'm from a different dimension. And I recognize this fact. And I don't see things the way people do. I understand this. I understand it. And I accept it. And I don't, a lot of people dig what I'm saying, but I don't fit into what's going on. But let me explain something. So you don't understand, if you don't lift the hood, you don't understand where cars have progressed, and you don't understand what's happening now unless you know the past. The State of the Union under Article 2 says from time to time. That's all. It's very interesting. The State of the Union, Article 2. Remember, Article 1 is legislative, the House, Senate, Article 1. Article 2 is the executive, the president. Article 3 are the courts. Simple. And Article 2 has this provision that says from time to time. Normally they say in the first, they're very specific, you know. You got to be 35 years old. You got to be from time to time. From time to time. They're just going to send it. Let people know kind of how you're doing. From time to time. Isn't that wonderful? George Washington sent a list, 1790, sent a speech, very short, and they broke it down into paragraphs, and they kind of looked at it like, okay. Thomas Jefferson never, ever, he spoke twice in public, twice, at inaugurals. That's it. He hated speaking. He says, what am I doing? What am I speaking? This is so British. This is so parliamentary. We don't do this. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? I don't understand it. I don't grasp it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's a beautiful idea. So it's a wonderful concept. Truly. I didn't know that, did you? Hated it. Hated it. The State of the Union was like, William Henry Harrison, James Garfield, never gave theirs. William Henry Harrison, as you know, very famously never lived for 30 days or whatever it was, because he supposedly, as people mispronounce the term, he supposedly spoke in this dreary weather without a coat and died. Being cold will not kill you, will not give you a cold. Cold is an expression. Being cold will not give you the cold. It will not give you a cold. It just won't. It won't do it. There are other reasons why you might get sick, but it's not because of being cold. But anyway, that's the story. Garfield, as you know, was assassinated because the State of the Union was at the end of the year then. Then there were some amendments made, and now it's January or February. It's not necessary as long as the president from time to time. That's all. In 1913, Woodrow Wilson, quite the scholar, whose dissertation, his PhD dissertation, was on the, governmental procedures and the like, brought it to a new level. Later on, Calvin Coolidge, I believe, was the first president to appear on radio. FDR was way ahead of his chance. And by the way, remember, you might laugh at social media. People may say this is demeaning. They thought they did not understand, why is the president demeaning himself by going on radio, fireside chats? Brilliant. That was the social media of his time. I remember Grover Cleveland, he basically announced, he didn't really vet it with his folks. He was talking about tariffs, and people said, tariffs? That means loss of jobs. And they bounced up. Remember, Grover Cleveland, the only president ever to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. The only heretofore. Fascinating. Here's one for you. This is how things have changed. The year was 2009. 2009. And there was a fellow by the name of Joe Wilson. And during President Obama's speech, President Obama said that illegal immigrants would not be covered under a health insurance reform program proposed by the Democrats. And the Representative Joe Wilson yelled out, "You lie," one time. That was it. He said, "You lie." And the House voted a 240 to 179 vote. It was a resolution of disapproval, a mild rebuke, a censure. They voted against it. How dare you yelled? This was 2009. You say you yelled? I'm sorry. Oh, how things have changed. Are we better off now? No. Remember when Justice Alito indicated some type of disagreement? I forget who was speaking. He kind of shook his head and said, no. That was it. All he did was he shook his head. They went crazy. He shook his head. Oh, my God, he shook his head. Did you see that? He shook his head. What, is he disagreeing? What is the matter with you? Now shaking your head is nothing. Nothing. Look at us now. Look at us now. What's it going to look like in 10 years? There are many reasons for this. I go into it in great detail, what I think of this, and how I want to discuss with you the notion, the idea of this thing called respect and tradition. But first, I want to talk about two sponsors. Oh, my Lord, are they in the news? The first, our friends at Z-Stack. Oh. If I didn't know better, I would think. By the way, if you're watching this on video, please, you must go back and hit that little more button. You can save up to 15% off of Z-Stack for yourself and your kids before they sell out of this flu season. And what is so important, is so critical, and so wonderful about this one particular, and you should see all of the particular items, and I ask that you do that using my link. But of course, vitamin C, which is a beautiful. People love vitamin C. Vitamin C to people, it's everybody knows. It's just one of these things that just you remember. If you were eating right. If you were eating enough bioavailable phytonutrients, we wouldn't even be discussing this. But some things you need a little help on. Vitamin C, of course, zinc, and vitamin D. Vitamin D. Are you at the right temperature? Are you at the right latitude? Are you getting enough sun? There's D2 and D3. D2 is mushrooms and yeast. D3 is animal products and whatever. By the way, vegans and people who are plant-based should supplement with B12. Absolutely. They don't tell you that. You know, this is terrific. You can't get everything. Friends, from plants and beans and legumes. You need B12. Has to be a supplement. But vitamin D. And you can argue it. And in fact, this week, did you see what is happening in the news? I go into it in much greater detail on my private channel. But did you see what people are saying about vitamin D? What we've known? Vitamin D is probably the most, it's one of these, as one physician friend told me, it's probably a hormone and not even a vitamin. It is the glory. It is the ignition switch. So go there, read it for yourself, use my link right here. Use that. Use the link that is not only in the chat section, but is also in the description section. Now, the other thing I want to bring to your attention, for the longest time, isn't this something we all talked about? EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Electromagnetic pulse. Worries. Think about this. An EMP shield. Oh, look at this. America's SBDC Kansas Emerging Business of the Year EMP Shield for 2020, listed by the Department of Homeland Security in their February 5th, 2019 EMP Resilience Report. This is American-made, veteran-owned business. This is it. Stay up. Go there. Look what is happening right now. Sign up for their newsletter, but look at this right now. EMP Shield. This makes the most sense to protect your car, your vehicles, your RVs, your solar systems, everything, your ham radios. For years, people talk about EMP. What are you talking about? Now, use my link. Go there. See for yourself. Put it this way. It's as though somebody handed this to me and I'm handing it to you. EMP Shield. Go read this. You'll know what to do. You'll understand. You're very smart. You're very smart. Okay? Do this. Now, there always is this fight that I have with people about tradition. There is a reason why the military believes in tradition. There is a reason why we have a uniform. There is a reason why we have rank. There's a reason why there's a changing of the guard. There is a reason why we sing a happy birthday. There is a reason for things. And it's not a needless formality. And if there's one thing that I promise you, I just saw recently, which reminded me, the one area that will never, ever, ever go out of style, go out of business. It may change in some respects, and that is weddings and the wedding dress, and will be here forever. There are some things, and I must tell you, I think things are good. I believe that there are places where there should be respect. I'm wacky about this. Churches, temples, mosques, funerals, weddings, courtrooms. Oh, try yelling in court. Good luck. There's some places, and one also should be Congress, the Supreme Court, the White House, the Capitol. I believe in this. Protest is one thing. Public proclamations of disfavor are not only one thing, they're guaranteed, but there's something about respect. There's something about respect, and also when people go out of their way to try to gain prominence on social media platforms. That's one thing too. Now, we've always had versions in the past of this. Always. When Hearst, newspapers, and by the way, the level of activity that we see in Congress right now, compared to the old days of people fighting and dueling. I mean, Andrew Jackson, I don't know how many people he killed. Aaron Burr and dueling. What is this? So we've gotten better. But do you know what happens? Do you know what happens? It all changed in a bigly way when we had Dress Down Fridays. When people said on Fridays, don't worry about a suit. When all of a sudden, doctors, professors, tech people on their firm, when they have their firm pictures, no tie. When we lost the tie, what was it? It signaled. It wasn't the event. It marked the event. There's something about procedure. There is something about... When I see folks go to palaces in England, and whatever it is, and they mock or chide or they bother or they hurt or harm or... I guess show disrespect to soldiers. There was one recently, I think, where they grabbed the horse or the changing of the guard and people. There's something about this that is so symbolic. And I realize I don't fit in. I don't fit into this world. I don't fit in. And what I'm saying is, it's not that these are critical. It's not that we must have these things. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, believe it or not, what I'm saying and what I'm trying to say is something a little bit different. I'm trying to say that that you lose something. You lose something. And I realize I'm wasting my time. Because I kind of sort of live in a world where I happen to be listening the other day to a very, very famous podcaster type. And it was, I'm thinking, did he invent this, dare I say, scabrous, caprolalic, not concupiscent anyway, but this vulgar, really, to the point where we're saying, why are you doing this? Why do you think this is necessary? Why are you overwhelming me with this? Did you just learn this word? Is this what you do now? Does this convey, would you want your children to talk? By the way, that, language involves a variety of words, a variety of words. Some of them are inappropriate for certain things. Some things you wouldn't say in a courtroom. Some things you wouldn't say to your grandmother. But they're valid. But when you do something in order to try to convey to people, not that I'm using this particular word because of I need it to convey an idea, but I want to make sure you understand I'm okay. I'm part of this team. Because we all use this word every other word. It's to the point now where it's almost a tick. It's coprolalia. I can't believe it. Did you just invent this? I'm from the world of Lenny Bruce. When Lenny was just at the end of this. When Richard Pryor came along and Carlin. And the idea of we blended and kind of moved into the world of the scabrous, and when X-rated and when Playboy, and I've been through this and I've seen that. So I mean, it's an interesting transition. I always thought it was very good for societies to evolve. But then there was always somebody who missed the point completely. Somebody who missed the point. Years ago. You may not think this, but I've told you this before. There was a time when Chinese food, I remember as a kid, when Chinese restaurants were brand new. We just never had them. And they were so, wow, chow mein, oh my God. Chop suey, what is this? Or whatever. And sometimes there were people who came along and they said, we can do this. So they would have Asian or Chinese, I guess, folks. And the food wasn't that great, but they had all the trappings. They had the lanterns, and they had the motif, and they had this, and they had the clothing. But the food was terrible. And somebody said, no, it's not. That's not it. That's not the trapping. It's the food. The food's got to be good too. The same thing with somebody who's being authentic. When you're protesting something, when you're doing something, a protest, when you're breaking this, when Rosa Parks refused to move, there are these moments when Gandhi provided or protested with nonviolence. You do it not merely to do something, to say, hey, look at me, I'm doing this. Because today, remember, everybody's trying their best to get, and I always point to my mouse, we're always trying to get meme coverage. We're trying to get virality. We're trying to be viral, and we're trying to be, that's it. We're losing the message here. And I know I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my time. I have no problem with anybody virtually doing anything, saying anything, doing anything. You have no idea if there's a reason for this, especially. And I love, have you noticed the spate of comedians? Have you ever heard a comedian explain comedy? It's a fate worse than death. It's just horrid. And there are these moments. I look at pictures of John Kennedy when John Kennedy spoke. Do you remember? Did you ever watch the Kennedy funeral? The riderless horse. That one horse was called Jack. The thing was all wired up, and the empty boot and the symbolism to see world leaders. Oh my God! Have you ever been to Washington when it's lost its reverence for me? Philadelphia hasn't, by the way. Constitution Hall hasn't at all. That's still, the Liberty Bell and everything. That will never, ever lose its. But I can't say Washington. I can't say I feel it anymore. I can't say I. And I want that again. I want that feeling. I want that. I want to see the procession of government. I want people when they walk into the Capitol, it's reverence. It's in being in church. It's serious. That's what I want. If people are going to protest, seeing huge swaths of people just sitting there making not a peep would be one of the most effective things anybody has ever seen. To sit there, not on a phone, just looking. Sitting on your hands, not saying a word, nothing, no clapping, no approbation, and when it's done, leave. You would have no idea. The silence would be deafening. But today, we live in a world where it's a different story. And that's not seen, that's not understood. Let me ask you something. Show of hands. Is our collective human experience losing the notion of respect? Yes or no? If you believe yes, press 1. If you say no, press 2. If you think it's unnecessary, press 2. If you think, this respect thing, that's okay. And we wore hoop skirts then and button shoes and, buckles on our shoes. And we did the minuet and yeah. But that was a different time. It was a stodgier time and it's unnecessary. If you don't think it, then press 2. But if you think, no, we do lose this thing called 1. We're becoming too ceremonially contumacious. We are deliberately going out of our way to destroy this notion of decorum. I don't understand. I can't. When I talk about respect, etiquette, manners, they look at me like, what are you saying? Don't you want to know how to do this? Don't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to know this? Wouldn't you love to know that you're exhibiting manners? Wouldn't you like to do that? You may not know, but wouldn't you think you know what? Yeah. Tell me how to do this. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Tell me. Wouldn't you love? Shouldn't there be classes somewhere? Shouldn't you take kids out to pretend you're eating and say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with this. And you start with a very simple rule. And by the way, when you play music, when you're acting, when you're in the arts, when you're playing baseball, there's respect on the field. There's certain things you do. There's this. Remember in the old days, when you would see somebody like the I don't know what it is, this, even a Joe DiMaggio, the kind of the tipping the hat is, oh my God. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I get a kick out of watching, even though I don't have any real connection to it, the notion of the convocation of cardinals or the papacy when they pick a pope. Just say, look, this is tradition. This is 500 years old. This means something. This procedure means something. They're doing this. This is why we do it. This is what it means. It's a procedure. It's something that we do. I love to know why humans do things, the way we shake hands and the way we speak. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that. And when we lose tradition, when we lose, and this goes for anybody, anywhere, this is in your family, this is whatever it is, do you have that relative in your family? Did you ever have that grandmother or grandfather that you showed the ultimate respect to? The ultimate respect. Did you ever see this? Did you ever see this? Did you ever have somebody in your family, you're an aunt, an older, where you just, everybody just dropped what they were doing. They said, wow, that was something. That, even in mob films, we hear this thing about respect. Respect. We love that word. What does it mean? What does it even mean? So while everybody's talking about, who said this and who said that, again, my particular piece, I go into kind of a more brutal look at it. But I don't believe we necessarily need to do things the way we used to. You know that scene from The Godfather when Michael is in Sicily and he meets Apollonia and he's walking and you see the cordon of women walk behind him? You ever see that? I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's necessary. That might have been the way they did it then, but I don't think you should have like old women on a company you want to date. I don't think so. I don't think so. I was talking the other day, fairly recently, with a very, very old person, bit of a cleric, and he was telling me that he believes that people who are the men and women, young people, should not live together prior to marriage or whatever it is. And I said, that may be something which is theoretically true. I said, but that's not going to happen. And for whatever its reason, and I don't particularly, I think that rule can change. I don't think there are things that change. It may be theoretically correct, but it's something that doesn't really apply now. Certain things obviously change and they give way. Sometimes they give way because of I don't know, tradition. I would love to do this. I would love to have somebody sit down and eat. Just have them eat. Have them be recorded, unbeknownst to them. And then bring them on and have etiquette trainers, if you will, come forward and say, here's what you did. And have all these check marks. And have people say, what? This one killed, you have no idea. When I see this for the four, I don't know what to do. I'm thinking, where did this come from? What happened? I never saw this in my life. But I'll bet you they would have no idea. Elbows, this, talking with your mouth. They would look at you and they say, I don't even know. This is a rule? Yes. I never knew that. I didn't know that. Little things, little contracts we have with people. Opening doors, not coming out of a subway or an elevator, whatever, to let people just to try to force your way in. You see this. This sense of the idea of, and I know this sounds really, really so ancient. This is button shoes and horse and buggy time. But to open the door for a lady, for a woman, is that wrong? Is that might seem, I don't know, subservient, whatever. How many people have never even heard of that? How many people have never even heard of that? That's the thing which is so... It was very interesting the other day. In Washington, we were at a kind of a club, and you could see the formality. Sometimes you would see members of Congress with their buttons, and you would see it was beautiful. It was really almost I don't want to say excessive, but it was really on display. People were just showing their, oh my gosh, it was beautiful. Gentility, words that and if you want to respond today, if you want to go viral, if you want somebody to recognize who you are, if you want your reaction to either the president or the vice president or whoever, you have to do something that is going to get the attention. And gentility and decorum and respect will never go viral. I'm sorry to say that. It will never be, people will not say, oh my God, did you see this? This is crazy. This is going viral. Look at this. No. He opened the door. Did you see what this congressman did, the way he shook hands? There was one moment when President Biden acknowledged Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell. I thought, oh, thank God. And then it was off to the races. I love that. Years ago, there was on Warner Brothers, on cartoons, Warner Brothers, there was the sheepdog and the coyote. Remember this? They would wake up, they would get up in the morning, go, morning, Sam, morning, dog. Anyway, and they put their little card in the time stamp, for the time card, and the beginning of the bell, and they would go after each other. And the sheepdog's trying to get the coyote, and the coyote's trying to get back, and they want to kill each other. And then this one scene where the sheepdog has the coyote, he's about to drop the coyote off of this. They were always on these cliffs, on these mountains. And when they fell, they could invert gravity. It's incredible. Anyway, the sheepdog's he's got the coyote, he's about to drop him, and just before he drops him, it's the bell, the sound of the end of the day, and they go, see you tomorrow, Sam. See you tomorrow, Dave. That was it. Reagan and Tip O'Neill talking friendship. And let me also tell you, if you think I'm just being some old-fashioned whatever, no, it's more effective that way. It's more effective. You ever see two professional wrestlers who love each other, face and heel, working together? Oh, my God. I used to hear stories about Bobby Heenan and Baron von Raschke that were some of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life. Symbiosis, working together, working incredibly together. Now let me stop right now. Let me remind you, my dear friends, I'm going to first tell you that as subject matter, I don't want to ruin this tete-a-tete that we're having. But there was something important right now. Right now, right now on our show. How many remember Ed Sullivan? Am I the Ed Sullivan meant Sunday night. That was it. Right now, you can save $250 on each 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply by using this link to preparedness.com. If I have to explain to you the notion of emergency food, and I don't. 2,000 calories a day. Imagine this. If you had to go 90 days and you can't leave, you can't go outside, what would you do? Stores are closed, supply chain, weather, who knows what. No stores. Panic. People going from city to city en masse, in cars, SUVs, lined up. What would you do? How about having 2,000 calories a day in these rugged, water-resistant buckets that have a 25-year shelf life with tasty breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks, in resealable, reusable, heavy-duty 4-layer pouches with oxygen absorbers. It weighs 120 pounds, very easily stackable, modular, made in the USA, no MSG added, ships free, safe, and undercover, no marking, so your neighbors don't know what you're doing. And you save $250 per order. Now, this is one of those, what did I say about that you didn't understand? This is your ignition switch. It's called preparedness.com. preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com. That's the number. That's it. Preparewithlionel.com. That's it. Okay? That's number one. Number two, well, do I have to tell you about this? Our good friends, our sponsor at MyPillow. We're so pleased and so proud to be a part of these great and glorious folks, because right now, let me put this up for you so you have this. It is so terrific, so wonderful. This is the link. By the way, you can also call at 800-645-4965 if you'd like to use landlines, as I do, because my cell phone doesn't work worth a hoot for reasons I shan't understand. But in any event, where am I? Oh, here we go. There we go. Look at it right now. Look at this right now. Look at it and go. You can get a free gift by using promo code Lionel. Free shipping on orders of $150 or more. There it is. And right now, the thing that first grabbed your attention is MyPillow 2.0. This is buy one, get one free. Hello. Buy one, get one free. The Giza sheet sets, overstock sale, 80%. Go through it. Everything you can imagine. Everything involving pillows and blankets and duvets and quilts and comforters. It's all there at MyPillow. Please, I beg him, beseech him, importune, and ask that you use the promo code Lionel and no other promo code there is. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. Now, let me ask you something. Do you think that what I'm saying is, be honest, outdated, let's say old-fashioned? Me, old-fashioned. Because my world is so radical, people would not want to. I haven't even got to the radical part yet. But there are some things that I think that are completely radical. I will shake, not here, mind you, but will shake your sensibilities to the core. So that's not my thing. My whole thing has always been, frankly, enjoying being against the grain. But do you think that this notion about this communal kind of a self-respect that we show each other, that this is somehow outdated? Because I don't. And let me also tell you something. If you tell your kids, listen to me and listen carefully. I don't care who you are. I don't care whether you agree with this or not. But if you don't have a kind bone in your body, if you were to say to people, to adults, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, open doors, show politeness, and for young men in particular, if you're trying to catch the fancy of some young lady, I know it's still, last time I checked, it is still a consideration by many. Politeness is the greatest thing you could ever do. It's just that simple. Even if you don't care in your heart of hearts, one way or another, it makes sense. They will like you. You will be treated better yourself. You will do better in life. You will get more things. People will cooperate with you. It is even if you don't care about anybody, if you just show respect, what you get in return is off the charts. Now, that shouldn't be the only reason why you do it, but it's true. And I don't understand it. I don't like what I'm seeing. And you will never hear anybody, ever, on any commentary platforms, chide or rebuke any particular behavior, because it's not that the people are doing this. It's the people who represent the opposite of their position who are doing this. Because they didn't say anything when their own side did this. They never said anything when their politician or their candidate did something that was problematic. No. It's when the other side. So it's not even real. It's not even sincere. I think I've said enough. I really do. I think I've said enough. And I know you get it. And good luck in trying to tell people this, but you're wasting your time. I promise you, You can go on any platform. You call anybody up, and you will not hear anybody anywhere on anywhere use as a level of reference respect and deportment and decorum and elegance, and never. It does not exist. That's all I'm saying. Okay? That's all I'm saying. All right, dear friends, dear great and glorious friends, I thank you. Let me give you a couple of things right off the bat. First, please like this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't. I don't know how to explain that anymore. I'm not going to beg. I'm just going to tell you. This is my Twitter account. I just did a beautiful review. And we never talked about Lenny Skutnik. We never talked about Lenny Skutnik. Lenny Skutnik, oh my God, 1982. The Skutniks last night we had were there. But the history of Lenny Skutnik brought to you by Ronald Reagan. I went into great detail. This is Mrs. L's Twitter. Please follow her. And most importantly, there is a brand new newsletter that she puts out every week that went out. And I suggest you immediately sign up for that because it is a doozy. And it involves subject matter that, frankly, is not covered anywhere. And while we're on the subject of newsletters, you might want to have mine too. And that's it. And one went on, I do kind of like a double batch. Sign up for this. I'll never use your email or your cellular information and the like. That's all I'm going to leave you with right now. You do that. You stick with that. Oh, one more thing. I did lie. If you want to hear what I have to say, unencumbered, unfettered, unedited, unplugged, unparalleled, go to lionelmedia.com and sign up, and I will talk to you for over an hour a day for the price of a gewgaw. Can you? Can you handle 30 cents? I think so. That's it. My friends, you have a great and a glorious day. Enjoy the day. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your family. Enjoy everything. Remember this as I end every broadcast with this valedictory, this not denouement, but this conclusion. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.